down now! Get down now!
You got a knife in the back. Knife in the back.
Stay right there! Turn over now! Turn over!
And I killed Lacy. How did I do that? She was such a good girl.
This is Jessica Mccarty, a mom of 3 who in 2015 hurt her own kids after having a fight with her boyfriend, Christopher Swist. Sadly, one of the kids, 7-year-old Lacy, died from the ordeal. As the police investigate this dreadful murder, the family's deep secrets are revealed and a motive of jealousy and betrayal is brought to light. This is the story of the 7-year-old who was slashed to death by her mother.
I don't know what happened. I really don't. I can't believe I could do that to my own baby. I can't. And I know I'm not alive. I know I'm not.
Jessica Mccarty was a 33-year-old mom who lived in Palm Bay, Florida, with her boyfriend, Christopher Swist, her 2 children from a previous relationship, Lacy Mccarty, 7, and Philip Mccarty, 5, and her 5-month-old baby with Christopher, also named Christopher. Jessica and Christopher had begun dating 2 years prior. Jessica was a stay-at-home mom, while Chris was a quality assurance manager. On that fateful day of March 19th, 2015, it was business as usual for the Mccarty family. Jessica made sure everyone was ready for their day, first thing in the morning. First, she drove Lacy and Philip to Discovery Elementary School, and then she drove Christopher to his workplace. Jessica would later spend some time that day with her mother, Patricia Knoll, who had come over to spend time with baby Christopher. A couple of hours later, Jessica's mother, Patricia, would say goodbye and head home. Jessica would continue with her daily chores, but there was one thing scheduled on her to-do list that would bring unspeakable horror to her family. It all started when Jessica made a phone call to Christopher. Chris had gone to dinner with his mom Cheryl and brother Matthew, but no sooner had they started enjoying their food did a very disturbing phone call turn a delicious pizza sour in Chris's mouth. When Chris picked up Jessica's call, the first thing he heard was, "The kids are dead." Chris told Jessica she was lying and hung up, but he would receive a photo a few seconds later that would send chills down his spine. The photo showed their kitchen floor stained with blood, and Chris knew right away that something dark and evil had taken place. He immediately abandoned his food and headed home with his mom and brother. On his way, he made one phone call.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
My location is...
Okay, what's going on?
I'm not entirely certain. My girlfriend just called me and said that some people in the house may be hurt.
Do you know why?
I'm not entirely certain.
And she just hung up on you?
Yeah, she did. She didn't sound good, and then I lost her. And I figured rather than call her back, because I got a photo as well.
Chris then proceeds to tell the 911 dispatcher about the chilling photo he received.
What was the photo?
It kind of looks like the kitchen floor. Not a lot of it.
Are your children in the house?
Yep. That's normal. Yes, I have 2 small children and an infant.
Chris gets home, rushes inside, and finds a scene right out of a Hollywood horror movie. He finds Jessica right by the door, holding a butcher's knife. He quickly disarms her and heads through the house, searching for the kids. He finds the kids tragically holding on for dear life and desperately tries to help them. He dials 911 again, informing them of the horror scene in his house. The police arrive and find a distraught Jessica outside, brandishing a knife. They quickly disarm her using a beanbag shotgun and confiscate her weapon. The officers move into the house and encounter a horrifying scene. The living room is covered in blood, Marley and Me playing eerily on the TV. The kitchen is also shocking with blood stains everywhere. The bathroom looked like it had been met with violence and shattered glass everywhere, and a bathtub filled with water. Christopher's room was even more shocking, with a trail of blood leading to the crib. But what the police are about to find outside will chill them to their bones. On the dashboard of Jessica's car, the police find a note that describes Jessica's intention to commit the heinous crimes in scary detail. Jessica and the children were rushed to the hospital. Lacey and her mother were taken to Holmes Regional Medical Center, where heartbreakingly 7-year-old Lacey succumbed to her injuries. Philip and Christopher were initially taken to the Palm Bay Community Hospital, but later transferred to Florida Hospital for Children. But sadly, Philip didn't make it to the hospital. He went into cardiac arrest and died en route. The autopsy done on Lacey revealed that she had struggled for her life as her own mother and her. Philip's autopsy revealed that he had died by ligature strangulation. Baby Christopher was still alive, fighting for his life. The question on everyone's mind was, how could a mother commit such chilling crimes against her own children? But the police would soon find out just how deeply deranged Jessica's mind truly was. As the police investigate this horrific case, they discover that Jessica and Chris were not the picture of the happy marriage that they presented to the world. In her interrogation with the police, Jessica revealed that she and Chris had gotten into a fight a day before the her.
So did you guys have an argument before going to bed?
It wasn't really an argument. It was a discussion, and I just wanted to know why. Why we've been together for so long, and day after day you tell me you love me and how I'm your world and you love what we have, but you don't see us having a future.
The detective tries to find out if this was a recurring argument the couple has. Jessica says yes, and it was obvious Jessica desperately did not want her relationship to fail. But Chris wasn't so keen on that. As the interrogation continues, Jessica opens up about the argument they had the afternoon of Friday, March 19th, 2015 on the phone, just before the brutal murders.
He's saying he wants to go out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he said, well, you know what? You can leave the baby. I'll come home. You can leave the baby, but the kids can't stay here.
You mean the two older ones that's not his? Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel?
Oh, well.
Chris had informed Jessica that he wanted to play baseball with his friends, but Jessica was not pleased. She had hoped to get a break from the kids that night and needed Chris to watch them. They had an argument that continued over text way after the phone call was over. Jessica ended up canceling her plans. The next time Chris heard from Jessica was her shocking phone call.
And let me just make it very clear what happened today and how I did what I did to her. I didn't do it because of anything he said.
The police started to piece together what actually happened on March 19th, and what they found was beyond horrific. Jessica had massive demons from her past. She had previously struggled with substance abuse and had been arrested a couple of times, even spending 3 months in jail. And according to her ex-husband, Philip Mccarty, she at one point stole her colleague's credit card and used it to make fraudulent purchases at Target. She was, however, caught and banned from Target. Jessica's behavior on that day was too chilling to have been from a healthy mind. So the police tried to find out if Jessica had any history of mental illness.
Are you diagnosed mentally with anything?
Yeah, bipolar. I'm sure I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have PTSD. I can't even tell you.
Do you take medication for that?
No.
Jessica's mom, Patricia Knoll, described a horrible case of negligent behavior by the hospital where Jessica gave birth to baby Christopher that left Jessica with PTSD.
There was complications with the birth, and she still has it. She's not healed yet. It's 5 months, and the incision that was made, she had a C-section. The incision that was made when she was leaving the hospital that day, the whole incision opened up. Entire incision opened up, and they told her that there was nothing they could do.
Jessica was sent home by the hospital with an open incision because the doctor who operated on her had left the hospital. The incision got infected, and Jessica ended up back in the hospital for 3 months and then left the hospital with postpartum depression. Jessica was eventually sent to Circle of Care, a mental health clinic. As the investigation progressed, detectives learned that Jessica had been having sick thoughts of hurting others for a long time. There was an issue with the family dog, Jessica had started posting on Facebook asking if anyone wanted a dog, making it clear she was not a fan of the dog. A couple of days later, the dog mysteriously died. Some family members suspected Jessica had something to do with it, but they had no proof. And that's not all. Although Jessica swore to the police she would never hurt her kids, further investigation revealed that to be a terrible lie. A few weeks before the murder, Jessica had called her mom threatening to snap the kids' necks. But when the police asked Jessica about it, she shut down and refused to answer any more questions.
Do you remember telling your mom that you felt like taking your kids
No.
a couple weeks ago?
No. What I did say was, I understand how certain parents do that. I never said I would do it because I never, ever in a million years would have imagined that happening.
Now, you said you understand why some parents would do that. Explain to me how do you understand that?
I'm done answering questions.
Unfortunately, the next day, March 22nd, Christopher passed away. An autopsy had revealed he died of and that's not all. When the detectives spoke to Jessica's ex-husband, Philip McCarty, they discovered more twisted secrets.
And her going, no, I'm having these weird thoughts. These thoughts that shouldn't be in my mind. I was like, what do you mean weird thoughts? Because I thought about it. Kids.
Philip also revealed that Jessica would make dark comments about Philip's new baby.
I wish my kid was dead.
What she say about somebody being dead?
Yeah, my baby.
By the time the detectives were done speaking to Philip, they had uncovered a dark and twisted Jessica, and they were beginning to question everything Jessica had told them. But the one thing Jessica was not telling them was why she brutally ended her kids' lives. As the police tried to figure out Jessica's motive, she kept insisting she could not remember what happened that day, but she made a chilling revelation.
Do you think if Christopher never told you, made that comment about your kids, about the two older kids, that he didn't want them at the house, do you think this never would have happened?
Absolutely, because then I wouldn't have been home.
The detectives spoke to Jessica's mom, who had been with Jessica just hours before she committed the unspeakable act. Patricia revealed that she had gone to pick the kids up from school on Friday, March 19th, 2015. But when she arrived with the kids, she noticed something was off.
Tell me what happened when you arrived.
Well, the door was locked, and she came and unlocked it. And then she went back. She was sitting on the recliner, and she was writing in a notebook.
When Patricia asked Jessica if she could read what she was writing in the notebook, Jessica said no. But little did Patricia know, Jessica was writing a detailed report of what she was about to do to the kids. Patricia also noticed that Jessica was a little sad and depressed. And when Patricia offered to take the kids to give her some space to finish her chores, Jessica insisted the kids keep her company. Patricia left, and the next time she heard from Jessica, she told her she had killed the kids.
I said, Mom, I've just phoned to tell you I'm very sorry. I said, what are you sorry for? She said, because of what I did. I said, she's gentle. She said, I killed the children.
Jessica's mom, Patricia, was adamant Jessica was a good mom. So what would make a good mom commit such a horrific crime against her own flesh and blood? Detectives would find out that jealousy had something to do with it. Jessica's boyfriend, Chris, had always been a friendly person, but Jessica thought that he was a little too friendly with one of his colleagues. A couple of months before the incident, Jessica had supposedly found flirtatious messages on Chris's phone from said colleague. And although the colleague denied anything was happening between her and Chris, Jessica did not take it lightly. She began to harass the colleague via text messages until she changed her number. But Jessica didn't stop there. She also tried to report Chris and the colleague to their supervisor. The two had allegedly called the supervisor an inappropriate name in their texts. But when that didn't get Jessica what she wanted, she tried a different approach. Jessica texted the supervisor telling her she would love to work for their company if an opening became available. Heather told her she would keep her in mind, but revealed she would have never hired Jessica because Chris already worked there. Jessica and Chris had numerous fights about his relationship with the colleague, and on March 19th, the supervisor revealed to the police that she saw Jessica and Chris having an argument when she dropped him off. Although Chris maintained numerous times there was nothing going on between him and his colleague, the content of the note Jessica left behind on the dashboard would reveal she never believed him. In her note, Jessica apologized to her family for what she was about to do. She then addressed a portion of the note to Chris, where she stated, "I'm sorry I couldn't be like Brandy. I can't stand your infatuation with her, but maybe you two can have a happy life together." Chris believes that Jessica was not herself when she killed the kids.
Yes, it's something that I couldn't figure out at the time, but I hope to, I don't know if there's that technology that those phone calls that I received are recordable. I hope they are. It was not her. If you listen to her voice in real life and the voice that she had on that phone, it was not her.
Jessica Mccarty pleaded guilty to murdering her children and was sentenced to life in prison. Hey, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you know of other similar cases? Let me know in the comments, and before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button.